starting. Welcome, everybody. Today we are going to explore Sexual Assault Awareness Month and how Beyond Survival fits in. So we're going to talk about SAM, which is the acronym for Sexual Assault Awareness, and where it is at now. We're going to talk about how people can spread awareness and how we can share prevention efforts. We're going to explain what Beyond Survival does and how we can take part in Sexual Assault Awareness Month. So as we progress, we'll discuss how advocacy plays a role in supporting a client and how we can all contribute to a supportive community.
As we begin today's event, we gather here in Grays Harbor County, Washington, the traditional ancestral territory of the Chehalis people as well as the Chinook and Quinault peoples, among other coastal Salish tribes who lived here and cared for this land. We express gratitude and commitment to learning from and supporting the indigenous communities of this region.
So my name is Andrea Wardlow. I have been working at Beyond Survival for over 13 years. I started out as an intern while I was at Grays Harbor College doing my human service degree. And so I've done youth, I was a youth advocate, I've done prevention specialist, and now I've been an executive director for over 2 years, a little over 2 years now. So I've played various different roles within the agency and have a passion for what I do.
My name is Des Gomez. I'm a bilingual advocate at Beyond Survival, and I've been there for just about almost 2 years now. So,
and yeah, we have a pretty small staff. We have Sarah Owen, who's our prevention specialist right now, and Nikki Gill. She is our prevention manager or lead advocate. Sorry, and then we have Judy's our financial manager. So we have a pretty small staff. But we all work really well together. So today we're going to talk to you about an important initiative, Sexual Assault Awareness Month. So April is just not another month. It's a time to raise awareness about sexual violence. It's a moment to support survivors and promote prevention efforts. So let's remember these 3 key points: awareness, open conversations, and collective responsibility. So Sexual Assault Awareness Month encourage all of us, individually and communities, to take action. This means engaging in education and advocacy. We need to have open dialogues about consent, boundaries, and respect. These discussions are crucial for fostering understanding. Each of us has a role to play. Whether you attend events, share resources, or support survivor-centered initiatives, your involvement matters. Together, we can work towards a world free from sexual violence. In our next section, we'll delve into how this important movement began. So the goal of SAM is to raise public awareness about sexual violence and educate communities on how to prevent it. The theme for SAM 2025 is Together We Act, United We Change.
Change starts with us.
It starts with listening and believing survivors.
I want to grow up in a world free from fear.
But harmful norms keep too many silent.
Looking out for one another is our shared responsibility. Speaking up isn't easy, but it's necessary. I
must be a part of the solution. Consent is not optional, it's required.
Respect for others
is the foundation of everything we do. Our future depends on what we do now.
How we feel off, we protect each other.
This is our time to make a difference. United, we build a safer and more respectful world. A world we all live. Together we act to prevent sexual abuse, assault, and harassment. Learn more at respecttogether.org.
So initially, Sexual Assault Awareness Month focused on raising awareness about sexual violence with a teal ribbon as a symbol. Later incorporated prevention efforts focusing on communities, workplaces, and campus colleges. NSVRC is the National Sexual Violence Resource Center, now leads the National SAM campaign, working to educate and engage the public in addressing sexual violence.
So sexual assault awareness started back in the early 60s, and it didn't really take flight until the 70s. In this little slide, we show how it started as women's equal rights, and then it slowly progressed in the 80s to rape crisis counseling on the streets of California. And from there, it kind of took off to be something more as a national movement rather than just major cities. So starting in about 2000s, go on to the next slide here, that's when the NSVRC took over and started doing themed campaigns every year. So for Sexual Assault Awareness Month, it became a staple in 2000. And so this kind of shows the themes of every year, how they progressed. And on the bottom right, it incorporates how they progressed to be more vocal to just other populations. So they included Spanish in it now. And to this day, now they have, I think, over 15 different languages that they have for awareness pieces. So it's pretty nice. But every year has a different theme.
And so we are located in Aberdeen, right across the street from Aberdeen Post Office, diagonally across the street. We have an administration building, we have a parking lot, and then we call it the Healing House, and that's where we see clients. We do one-on-ones with our clients. We have support groups there, and oftentimes we can do police reports there. Law enforcement will come and meet our clients there, so it's a nice, safe, confidential place it's a lot easier to do a police report there than it is at a police station. So those are our phone numbers. You can reach us 24/7. 2 of our advocates are always on call out of our 5 staff. Wait, 1, 2, 3, 4 staff. 2 of them are always on call. One is for primary, so anybody can call that number. And then the other one is we also work with Stafford Creek Correctional Facility, because it doesn't matter what you did to get into prison, you still don't deserve to be assaulted. And so you can always reach us 24/7. That's our email or website, and we also are on Facebook and Instagram too as well. So our mission is Beyond Survival strive to support, educate, and empower all people impacted by sexual violence. We don't care what you look like, where you came from, how old you are, you still deserve the right to be supported. And so long as it fits within that scope, support, educate, and empower, we can help support you. And our vision is a community working together to end sexual violence, and that is because we cannot do it alone. We often rely on other partner agencies to help us support these families and these victims and survivors through whatever they're going through. It was probably about 6 years ago, the board and the old executive director decided that we probably should have some values to align with our work. So integrity, service, growth, and stability. So we strive for accountability, honesty, and respect in all that we do. For service, we value compassionate service of clients and the community. For stability, we work to provide a stable support for clients, staff, and the community. And for growth, we value personal growth of the individuals we work with. We also strive for agency growth. And then we actually strive for the growth of our staff, right? So each of our staff, our advocates have a special niche, and which they are very amazing at. So that's what kind of keeps my staff on board. So as we discuss the role of sexual assault advocates, it's important to recognize the vital systems for victims. We provide essential victim advocacy services and crisis intervention support for all victims of sexual assault. We offer non-judgmental support, creating a safe space for survivors to express themselves without fear of blame or shame. We uphold privacy and confidentiality, and that's really paramount. We also are mandated reporters too, so if it falls within those guidelines, we are mandated reporters. This ensures that survivors feel secure in sharing their experience. Advocates empower survivors by assisting them in choosing their own pace and path for healing, which can be incredibly empowering during such a vulnerable time. Additionally, it's worth noting the advocates don't just support the survivors. We work with secondary victims, so that could be like family members, siblings, partners. We help support them to make sure that they get the help that they needed, because they're also affected by the trauma that the survivor or victim is going through. This holistic approach ensures that everyone impacted gets the resources that they need to help them through their healing journey. So these are we can do general, legal, and medical advocacy. So that can look like the one-on-one meeting. Sometimes we can sit with, a client for an hour. Sometimes it's longer. Usually with youth, it's for about a half an hour. And we can facilitate various support groups. And so all that looks different for each person. Legal advocacy, so we assist them. That can be a pretty daunting experience for someone to go through the court system. So what that could look like, that could be meeting with law enforcement to do a police report, case follow-up. That could be protection orders. That could be, so many things. Crime victims compensation papers. Am I missing something?
Showing up to court with the client.
Showing up to court with the client. Oftentimes, people don't want to miss work just to see how the court case is going. So the advocate can go to court and watch the court case and then let the client or the parents know how the court case is going. So we're kind of that liaison between the entities. So medical support for survivors can be a SANE exam. We called it a forensic exam here, a sexual assault nurse exam. So we're there to help support the victim or the survivor during a medical exam, which is really helpful when the nurse is doing what they're doing, so we can help support them. We can write things down, because oftentimes they're not going to remember what happened, but we can write that down, and then we'll have that follow-up and let them know, do you remember me from yesterday? We can write that, the next steps. It's just that it's really helpful for them to have someone to talk to about the things that are happening. Also, if it's a new SANE nurse, we can make sure that they're doing their job right, and making sure that the chain of command is being followed, because we attended many of those SANE exams. And what else does medical? Oh, and anything that happens along with that medical exam. So say they have any broken bones or anything like that, we can help assist them with any of those appointments as long as it's surrounding the sexual assault, right?
Do you do those, the SANEs, do you do those only if they come into your clinic for it, or if like a hospital calls?
The hospital calls us and lets us know that they have someone up at the hospital. So whoever's on call on the crisis line, number one, right, would call us. If it's from the prison, we attend SANE exams too for the prison. So the prison calls the person on PRE, is called Prison Rape Elimination Act. So they'll call the advocate that's on call for that crisis line. And then They'll let us know when they arrive at the hospital. The best case scenarios, we meet together. And then they get to decide whether they report or not, right? You can still get a scene exam and you don't have to report. And a lot of people don't know their rights, and that's why it's really important to have an advocate there. You don't have to report if you don't want to. You don't even have to give your name on the SANE exam or on the SANE kit, because right now is not a good time to make those difficult choices. And so that's what we're there for, to let them know their rights during that time. So as long as we are staying within our scope of general, legal, and medical advocacy, we're doing what we're supposed to be doing.
Do you notice, is there kind of like a challenge with having behavioral health resources and licensed mental health resources? Is it challenging for you to have, like, go to these hospitals if they don't have, like, SANE? Like, are you noticing there's a shortage in nurses who are like, SANE
Yeah,
certified?
so typically for the last year or so, we've been having to go to St. Pete's in Olympia, right? So that's been kind of a challenge. I know Harbor Regionals, Nikki and I are going to be part of, they just hired a bunch of SANE nurses. So Nikki and I are part of this. We're going to be training the SANE nurses on how to work with advocates. So it's just 3-day training. And I know Summit Pacific's got a few there. Des was up here twice last month,
This month.
this month. So yeah, so it's more, we're not having to travel so far, yes. So it is difficult and it ebbs and flows. So it's never, just when we get SANE nurses, we don't. But things have changed in legislation. So hopefully now they're gonna be paid to be on call. That was the challenge. They weren't getting paid to be on call. And a lot of times the SANE nurses work 2 or 3 hours. And so you have a victim in the hospital who is sitting there for so long. And they just want to go, or maybe not want to go home. They just don't want to be there for very long, right? So it's changed so much, 13 years that I've been here, but it's getting better, I'm hoping. But yeah, so that's kind of how that works for the general legal and medical advocacy. And then, so sexual assault refers to any sexual act directed against another person without their consent. And that's why when we do prevention education, we talk a lot about consent, even in first grade. This includes situations where the complainant is unable to give consent. So that would be even if you're under the influence of anything, even if you didn't give it to yourself, or you did drink something, or you simply cannot give consent. Understanding this definition is crucial as we move forward to discussing the role of sexual assault advocates. It sets the stage for the vital support that they provide to survivors. As we explore the responsibilities of advocates, keep in mind that they are often the first point of contact for survivors, guiding them through the incredibly challenging times. This foundational understanding of sexual assault is essential for appreciating the advocacy work that follows.
So a big strong suit with how we function is that we're a community-based resource center versus a system-based resource center. So I kind of have it here on the slide to explain what both do. The lighter blue side is the system-based, and with system-based advocacy, they normally take the interviews if it's the youth, so it would be doing a forensic investigation and putting that directly towards the court system. Everything is not confidential, things are recorded, things like statements are taken, all of the information is taken for a report. And so they only navigate with the victim through the court process. After the court process, there is no follow-up contact, there is no assistance with other resources, it kind of just drops off after trial. And they also do not have privileged communication, which I'll go into a little bit in a second here. And let's see, they don't have crisis intervention, which we do. for community-based advocacy. And they also don't have additional support for secondary victims of sexual assault. So as Andrea kind of explained, that would be family, friends, partners of the victim themselves. So for community-based advocacy, which is what we do, we support the survivor from the beginning, so from the day of report, or even prevention. We do prevention, so we try to get it beforehand. From the police station to the medical exam to even wanting to just disclose directly with an advocate so we can report to DCYF or law enforcement. We stay with the victim throughout the medical exam, throughout trial, and ongoing. Beyond Survival has been around for 31 years, and I know Andrea has gotten clients from when she first started to come back just to say hi or like drop a card. Or it's really cute. But healing takes a lifetime and it's not linear. So hopefully we'll be here for, we hope to never have a job, but we'll hopefully be here for a lifetime for everyone to be supported. The privileged communication is RCW 5.60.060, which is highlighting that advocates can't be subpoenaed for court. And if they do get subpoenaed, it's not likely for us to have a lot brought against us, since we don't take notes, we don't record things, we don't take things as a system-based community or system-based advocacy center would.
It's the same RCW that counselors have. So.
But as Andrea explained, we are mandated reporters, so that mandated report would be the only thing that is based in the legal system that would come from us if there is a report. We also do help pretty much everything we do, the crisis intervention, so that's our 24 crisis line. So people who have panic attacks in the middle of the night from an assault or are in an active situation can call the line. We can walk them through the process of reporting or just show them the steps of what to do and ask them where they are at. That's something huge with community-based advocacy, is that we meet the people where they're at.
Right. Oftentimes we're just doing grounding techniques with them at night just to kind of help them through their trauma in the middle of the night. So.
Then our general legal and medical advocacy that Andrea just went over. And then we also do the support groups, we do education, and if secondary victims do call asking for help on just how to talk to the survivor, how to interact with people in their life who might be victims who have trauma, we always we'll find something if we don't have something, and we have a lot. So any information for secondary victims and just community awareness, which is why we're here today, which is great. We love to be here, just spreading the word and awareness. And if people have questions, we get questions in the middle of the night sometimes, and that's completely fine because we would rather spread awareness than have nothing said.
So this is why we have the job that we have, because we live in a rape culture world. So rape culture is an environment in which rape is prevalent and in which sexual violence is normalized and excused in the media and pop culture. Rape culture is perpetuated through the use of misogynistic language, the objectification of women's bodies, and the glamorization of sexual violence, thereby creating a society that disregards women's rights and safety. So this is one of the things, it was like an aha moment, probably about the third year I was an advocate. So this is the rape culture pyramid. And so the rape culture that I'm talking about that we live in, it's just kind of once you see it, you can't unsee it. So it can even start down at the bottom. If we start to normalize, the saying, boys will be boys, right? We hear rape jokes. I don't know how many times I have walked down the hallway doing prevention in the school, and I hear someone, talking about a woman's body or anybody's body for that matter, I don't care how you identify, in a derogatory way or saying rape jokes or something like that. And I'm thinking, I can't, as an advocate, just walk by and ignore this. So I literally do this thing. I think it, I don't do it, but I puff up my chest and go, dang, I'm gonna have to say something. Half these kids are bigger than me. But I have to, because that's my job. And if I'm not gonna say something, and I'm not gonna stand up for these kids, who is gonna stand up for these kids?
It's okay. and
Yes,
it's
yes,
tolerable, and
yes.
you
There
shouldn't
goes
say
the Beyond
anything.
Survival lady walking by, and she just heard me say this. Like, really, I have to say something, and that's kind of why we do the things that we do. So unwanted touch, right? How many times you're in a school, and I'm going to say it in schools because I see it in schools all the time. Unwanted touches. How many times I've gone to a school, a counselor has called me with a whole bunch of pictures of screenshots on their table because it's Titty Tuesday, right? Because everybody's taken pictures and spread them, and now that's distribution of child pornography. That is literally what that is. And it's normalized, right? Stalking, victim blaming, all of that. If we start to normalize that, it goes up to the other violations, right? Revenge porn, groping, and all the way up to rape, drugging, molestation. And stealthing is a new word. They actually have a law now. And so that's when someone intentionally removes like a condom or hides birth control pills. There's a law for that now, and I don't know what RCW is. That is, Sarah knows all about that at my work. She's on the Attorney General's board for all the laws. But that's kind of how that works. So if we excuse these behaviors down at the bottom, it just makes it easier to accept those things up top. And so I kind of probably ruined your vision of the world today, but this is the world that we live in today. If an alien came down and saw us, that's what they would see. They would see that we live in a rape culture world.
And it's sad that it seems like the kids are getting younger and younger learning about this. Like I hear my son who's 12,
Yep.
he'll say something and then I'll be like, fact check. Like, you know, where did you hear that? What do you know about? A lot of times he doesn't know the context behind it. Like 69, he just thinks that's a cool
And then-
number because streamers are talking about it. But
And it's very important to have those conversations because they are gonna learn it at school, they're gonna learn it online. And it's not one big, huge conversation, it's micro conversations at age appropriate levels, right? And we have a plethora of information at our work to have those easy conversations. We've got some things up here already, but ignoring it's not the best answer. Ignoring is not the best answer. And it's having those, no matter how uncomfortable it is. Even if you can have that conversation back to back, right? Like mom's face is gonna turn a little bit red. I know yours is probably, let's have this conversation back to back. Or let's look this up together. Or let's watch this show together and have this conversation. Because they're gonna learn it. And then if you don't have that dialogue with them, with a trusted adult, right? We talk about trusted adults, you should always have 4 and identify what a trusted adult is. This way, I have talked to it. But so that's very important, having those conversations. So we can not have this all the time. This is good. So this is a rape culture video poem. It's really good. It's one of my favorites. It's kind of older, and Button Poetry, they have a whole bunch of them.
It is number 1 student. Robinson reads, I know he wants 18 times. It's all you even know. Rick Ross asks, all the other champagne. She didn't even know it was her whole night enjoying that. She didn't even know it. Broken records on the soundtrack of a picture. Misogyny on 2 Jacqueline lens. Rapist in sheep's clothing. The same food American culture has served us for decades. 1944, not really, and say, we return to once in this spring. 1978, in Greece, the boys asked Danny and Sandy put up a fight. 1996, the blonde lady was wrong way, sold down sex with a 12-year-old girl. 1999, Red Harper's always stealing his 2008, Jimmy Fox playing good on the alcohol. 2010, the Tiger Creator declares ready fuck. 2013, I'm gonna make no one. Rick Ross is in the character, no more dead. The same rape culture song over and over. Rape no longer only goes close to dark alleyways and assimilated into our behavior. In less than 40 years, rape has been defined from punishable by death to qualifier. Rape joke, rape song, rape scene. The word American culture teaches children which is generated to be the perpetrator or the victim. We teach our boys control. Don't give in. Don't be a pussy. Take. We teach our girls, I know you want it. Don't scream. Don't fight back. Take it. Rape culture has civilized salvation. She grabbed on his tongues of the town folk. Last month, the comedian was rape as a punchline. Talking about girlfriends and home wearing out protecting for young boys. And this society removes agency from all of our lives. They say, Americans have no culture. No unified credit. No unified strength right together in everyday matters of our lives. But we live in a country where it's tradition to take, custom to be predatory. Where we elevate those who rape to be spotlight their smiles and ignore their skeletons. We can provide their paychecks. Rapists have been redefined into rapper, singer, blogger, actor, boxer, rapper, victim has been redefined as athlete, liar, too strong, not worth the investigation. In 2009, over 11,000 rape cases were discovered abandoned in police soldiers. Nationwide, there are over 400,000 unprocessed rape no longer only knows close doors or dark alleyways. It is a staple of American culture. One in five in the armed forces, 1 in 3 in our everyday lives. 1 in 5 women will experience rape or attempted rape. We tell victims to trust the system and it puts them in order. But the system is part of the same rape culture, songs, word lines, drowning victims' voices in the white noise of the radio, and we all just can't stop singing along.
Yeah, that's pretty an old one, but it's still very relevant today. I would like to see what they can do today, right? I was just at a training in Hawaii and there's a new one out, but it was really deep, and so I was like, I'm not gonna do that one. But yeah, so rape culture shows up in varied contexts, including media, pop culture, politics, criminal justice, and advertising. It is perpetuated in our schools, homes, workplaces, and religious institutes. We are all socialized in rape culture. Here is a list of the rape culture, a list of ways that rape culture is maintained in society. And so here's some of them. It's kind of like repeated of some of the things that we had already had up there. Sometimes people assume that men cannot be assaulted. It's 1 in 6 by the time a boy is 18. 1 in 4 by the time for girls. 1 in 4 by the time a girl is 18. 1 in 3 Native communities. LGBTQ, was it 1 in 3 or 1 in 3? 1 in 3. College campuses, 1 in 5. I was really surprised to see that it was 1 in 10 for senior citizens in their lifetime. So yes, men can get assaulted. A lot of the times it's from either women or men, right? It's a lack of consent, and it's a thing of power and control. It's not about sex, it's about power and control. And like teaching women to avoid being raped, we do that all the time. We're telling our kids, our daughters, our grandkids, take a pepper spray, right? We shouldn't have to do that, but we do. We have to. It's really sad, but yeah, there's some of them. What we see on TV, when I used to do prevention, I tell them, if you're gonna be a movie producer, think about these things. If you're gonna be a musician, think about these things. There's other ways to make movies and music and art that doesn't lead into the rape culture.
As more awareness is raised and it's more talked about, having those difficult conversations, have you seen or do you predict there being more, like more males that will actually speak up and stick up for them? Because
Oh, yeah.
it seems it's mostly females that it's targeted on, that's how it's been, but you know, now that it is a bunch of, it's men and it's almost equal numbers, or just,
Yeah.
they're so close. Have you noticed that there's more men that are starting to feel comfortable like speaking up and?
Well, yeah. I think in the public eye, yeah, there's more men that have come forward in the public eye. And then also I think in our community too, more men are coming forward. We have quite a few men that come into our office on a regular basis. And it's kind of always been that way, but yeah. I think awareness is huge. I don't have the statistics on the what awareness can do. What I do know, it raises boys that have respect and ask first before, ask for consent and have healthier relationships. I do know that, and I've seen that happen. So, yeah.
I cannot stand it when I hear parents be like, oh, he's mean to you because he has a crush on you, or she's mean to you because
Yeah,
she likes you.
exactly.
And
That's
it's
another.
like,
That's
that
another
is
one.
so
That is
toxic.
yes. That is.
Constantly and only ever perpetuates the idea of women as victims.
Yes. Right. Yep. Exactly. There's a whole bunch. Yep. So. Where am I at?
This kind of just highlights what we just talked about. Something big that we always say is see something, say something. And we promote that in every aspect of our job. If it's not just seeing and hearing, then we say something like Andrew was mentioning. If we're just walking in the hall and we say, here's something, we're gonna turn around and be like, hey, you don't do that.
And also safety is really important too. Make sure it's safe to do so. So it's powerful to want to honor victims of sexual abuse. Here are some ways to do that. Oh wait, where are you at? Oh, not yet. Oh, sorry. Here are some ways to do that. Keeping in mind the importance of respect, sensitivity, and empowering survivors. So believe and listen. When a survivor shares their story, believe them without judgment. It's what very, very, some people say people lie and make up these stories. A very small fraction of people will lie and say they've been sexually abused. Very, very small. Yes, some people do, right? Very, very small amount, very small percentage do that. Support their choices, respect their decisions about reporting, seeking therapy, or engaging in advocacy. There's no right or wrong way to heal. So if someone tells you that they've been abused, believe them. Believe them. Tell them about us. Support them. If you need help on how to support them, we can help you with that. Educate yourself and others. Learn about the prevalence and impact of sexual abuse, the complexities of trauma, and the importance of consent. Share reliable information to dispel the myths and misconceptions. Challenge harmful attitudes and behaviors. Speak out against victim blaming, slut shaming, and other attitudes that normalize or excuse sexual violence. Promote healthy sexuality and consent education in schools, right? Support comprehensive education for all ages that teaches about bodily autonomy, respect, and consent. That's really important. Recognize and address systematic issues. Understand how power imbalances and societal structures contribute to sexual violence and advocate for change. Or donate or volunteer to your local sexual assault resource center. Advocate for funding and policies that support survivors and prevent sexual abuse. A lot of our funding is from BOCA, which is OCVA through the federal we're losing a lot of our funding. So right now I am definitely writing a lot of grants. We've got some grantors that are really loving what we're doing and they're gonna continue to fund us regardless, which is amazing. But we are definitely across, not just us, across domestic violence, sexual abuse, any victims of crime services is losing a significant amount of funding. And then use respectful and empowering language when talking about sexual abuse and survivors. Avoid terms that blame or stigmatize. And then take care of yourself. Engaging with this issue can be emotionally challenging. Seek support if you need it. And then we're always here. Ultimately, honoring victims of sexual abuse involves creating a culture of belief, support, and accountability where survivors feel safe, heard, and empowered. So that's what you can do to help.
Sure. So for Sexual Assault Awareness Month, obviously it means a lot at our job since we're specifically a sexual assault resource center. So throughout the entire month of April, we have different just events. We just had a rock painting event that we hosted. We should have brought some rocks. We just had it open. We cleared out our parking lot, set up tables, and just painted rocks for survivors. And the plan is to just kind of put them all over Grace Harbor to spread awareness, paint the town teal, as we say. And so on our Facebook and our Instagram, we kind of post our upcoming events or just little things of like inspiration, not just throughout April, but throughout the whole year for survivors, including our groups, public education events that we have for community awareness, and just like various things. And on here, we have our upcoming event. We also kind of have flyers on the tables for it, but it's an open mic karaoke night that we have with a restaurant out in Ocean Shores. And they have really great.
They have amazing Aprils. So it is. It's called Hot Mamas out there. They've decided to host us this year. So there's like the little tape. Des is amazing, and she does set this whole entire SAM month up. So it's amazing. But we have the little table tent, so you can scan the QR code and donate to our agency. And so that's what those are there. And then we have like the swag that we have out on the tables too. And then we're in the middle of still getting some baskets that people will raffle off. And then I think there's musicians coming, like open mic night, but then karaoke. If people don't show up for open mic night, you can do karaoke, but it's family friendly too.
I'm wondering how you might, what kind of ways you might have addressed when people make jokes like that. Because I know also that, you know, millennials and Gen Z have very gallows humor, and maybe it's like they're making jokes about things that have actually happened to them. So it's also like policing the way that survivors talk about things, but also it's like, hey, who taught you that was funny though, you know? So I'm wondering like what, without shaming somebody who might have already been a victim and we don't even know it, but they're making like a quote joke, you know? Have you thought of like any sort of like scripts to say or whatever of like, hey, it's not funny, but like in a kind way?
Well, I would say probably start out by asking, like kind of what you just said, kind of like, well, why are you saying that, right? Like ask them, maybe individually ask them why they're saying that and where did you hear that from? Might be a good start if you have an inkling, like all of us are pretty empathetic at our work, like we could feel, like I would almost 100% be able to tell if they're a victim or not, right? Pretty much most of the time. I would actually sit down and ask them like, hey, what I've noticed is you said this, like where is that coming from? Like kind of sit there and kind of figure out where that might be coming from. It might be, right? right? They might be a victim and just kind of playing it off, because a lot of survivors and victims do that, right? And just having that conversation with them. That might be a good starting point. I definitely wouldn't, put someone on blast, right?
Because you said like well, that's what I was wondering, because you were like, oh, I would stop and turn around, and so I was just wondering.
So when I stop
How
and
would
turn
you
around,
make
I'm
sure?
like, hey,
Yeah.
what you said, that could definitely offend somebody. And what if it was like your sister that you were talking about? Or what if this happened to one of your friends or something like that? Yeah, it's every situation is a little bit different, right? And you got to lead with empathy, and each situation is a little bit different. If it's a group of people that are joking around and obviously they're doing it to hurt somebody, right? I'm definitely gonna step in and, interject and like this, they're picking on this person, right?
I've made someone explain why their joke was funny before when they were making like sexist or racist comments or something like that. Yeah, I don't get it. What's funny about that? And then
Look
they
at me, I
elaborate,
say,
like, so why is it humorous that someone
Yeah,
who's
there you go.
traumatized? Like, what's funny about it? What if it was your sister or mother?
Yeah, so,
I don't get it.
yeah, explain to me why that, explain to me why that's funny, yeah.
I'd say a really big thing, if you're concerned if it's like an individual, just from working with clients nearing my age to like millennials a lot, like you said, they have that dark humor, or they'll joke about their trauma because it's a way that they cope. It's very, very common. Creating that safe space, and you might cry. They are probably gonna cry. Having tissues, getting napkins, having water, just having a safe environment to be vulnerable is really huge. And we don't expect everyone to have the extensive training that we do on how to handle someone who's having a traumatic panic attack or something like that. But if there's ever questions on like how to like handle someone having a panic attack, my work purse has tissues, fidget toys, snacks, pens, like coloring things. I have everything in my work purse, and I take it every time I go to work, anytime I get called out, just in case. Because if we're in the hospital, even if it's an adult, I'm just like, hey, do you want a fidget toy? They say no at first, and then they're like, actually, give me that. I need something, because they're just panicked. They're freaking out, and making that comfortable environment is really huge for anyone, even if they're a secondary victim.
Yeah. It's a difficult question, and each situation is different, but.
I was mostly kind of asking for the people that are on the screen, so that just to more have it be a call in culture rather than a call out culture,
Okay.
to distinguish between that, like how we might, not get people to be so defensive when we say like, hey, that's not really funny, because sometimes the way that we approach that can really make people not listen even more and just stick with their guns even harder, and then be kind of turned off to the cause. Do you know what I'm saying?
Right.
It's tough.
Yeah.
So.
It's really tough, but it's also one of those situations like I have trauma, and I use my dark humor to get through it. Like guilty as charged, but there was something that I had said, and someone was like, that's not funny. You shouldn't be laughing about this. And it was just kind of one of those like, whatever, it didn't happen to you. Like, it's funny now, I'm fine. But as I started thinking about it, I was like, holy shit, this is not okay. So it's just one of those, sometimes it takes people getting out of their comfort zone to say something like, hey, that's not funny. And yeah, I may have flashed out or whatever, but it was nice that someone did that, because it really got me thinking, and it really helped me in actually my healing journey of coming out to my family of everything that happened and so on and so forth. But it's like, wow, when you think about, how long I've been laughing it off or whatever, it's like, oh, it's really not that funny. It was just a joke, to me. But yeah, so it's really, although it sucks being that person to be like, hey, that's not funny. It's also great to be that person because you never know if that's gonna be the push that they need to really wake up and be like, yeah, I guess that really isn't funny. I should probably get some help or really refrain from saying that kind of stuff and so on. So you just
Yeah,
never
thank
know
you
how
for bringing
people are
that up.
gonna react. You never know how they're gonna react too. So they might swing a fist. They might start crying. Like you just never know. You just never know.
So the other groups that we do an all-inclusive support group, teen support group, so that's anybody 13 to 18. Sometimes 19-year-olds will fit in and sometimes 12-year-olds will fit in. And then we do grow group, and that is for any adult, no matter how you identify, and that's pretty much, we go through what trauma looks like, coping skills, all of the things that, a survivor might go through. Grounding techniques, I can't even remember what else, but then from that group, we created Find Your Voice because they wanted to learn more about healthy boundaries and communication with all of the circles. So your inner circle, your partner, all the way out to strangers.
I'm looking at your thing, and you have the all-inclusive Find Your Voice, but have you thought about implementing something particularly for, we have a small but present queer community within Grays Harbor, and there's a lot of stigma about particularly transgender women being seen as predators. There's a lot of stigma towards, queer individuals' experience with sexual assault. And I'm wondering if you have anything or have plans to try and create a place where people can come together to speak about that and experiences with that, because it can be difficult for someone who identifies as a woman, maybe was not at some point in their past, she might not feel comfortable going to a women's group.
Right.
Because, yeah.
So, yeah, you can take that, but I'll let Des take this, but we used to, just so you know, so I'm totally open to whatever kind of group we need to do, 100%. We used to do just teen girls group, right? But most of the teens, almost all of the teens identified as LGBTQ, right? But then I asked them so we do surveys, like what would you guys like to see? They said we want to make it all inclusive.
Okay,
And so that's what we did, but Des can help with the rest of what we're talking about. But your question.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yes.
Yeah, that's why we kind of have like the all-inclusive. So our teen group is specifically for youth, and then our Grow and Find Your Voice is all-inclusive. So that's anything that anyone might identify as. We have the doors open. Some are like primarily, male or female or non-binary folk or any other gender orientations. And we have it open for everyone. And we go through the first group session usually. And I will say all of our groups are psychoeducational. So they're not just like trauma dumping groups. We have curriculum. They're curriculum-based groups on coping, healing, boundaries, healthy relationships, identifying trauma. And we have like confidentiality agreements that everyone has to sign, and just like group rules that we established so people don't feel judged or left out, or like it's a safe environment. And we, in every group that we have, even on here we have Native women's group and Hispanic women's group. Those two groups specifically asked to keep it as women.
Well, that makes sense.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
so I lead our Hispanic women's group, and then our Native women's group is culturally based, and we work with the Quinault Indian Nation for that. But they've helped us migrate our curriculum to be a more culturally sensitive curriculum basis, which is really great. And we've gotten pretty good feedback from it already. And our Hispanic women's group is the same, and it's all in Spanish. So we're we're trying to cater to what we want, which is why our surveys are so important. And sometimes even just our clients tell us, they're like, hey, we want this, we want that. And our prevention, our brochures, we just updated them, has the whole list of pretty much the curriculum that we have, and it's pretty lengthy.
Yeah, so so we get specialized funding from OCVA, so that allows me to do whatever kind of groups I want, right? I just have to make sure it's approved by OCVA. And Grace Harbor Community Foundation funded us to do our up to 6 groups, right? So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 there, so I can do them all together. I can do these groups twice with all the funding that I have. So I'm very versatile. So like say I get a whole bunch of men, people that identify as men come in, I can totally 100%, we already have the curriculum for it, I will do that. But in order for a group to happen, I have to have at least 3 participants, right? And so a group's not a group without 3 participants, but we're very flexible. So once they fill out those evaluations, I will 100% cater to what the needs are of the community. And that's why it's really important for us to be listening to what our survivors and victims need and want. Yeah, so that's why it ended up being all inclusive,
No,
because
I
every single
definitely-
one of them were just like, hey, yeah, let's do this. I was like, well, guys, like, and I had to ask everybody that comes to group, like, confidentially, like, is this really what you guys want? Because let's do this.
No, I definitely
Yep.
like and support it that way. I was just,
Yeah.
curious. It can be daunting trying to find, clear, inclusive areas or like spaces. So it may say all inclusive, find your voice, but there are some people who I do have to ask, does that include me?
Yeah. Yeah, no, I hear you 100%. Yep, but so I'm glad, thank you for asking that, but that's where that derived from,
Okay.
definitely.
Thank you for the clarification.
Yeah. Yep, and then we do prevention education K through 12, when the schools will let us into the schools, right? Sarah just was out in Ocean Shores doing grade school curriculum, which was pretty cool. We do prevention and some education pieces up at Grace Harbor College. We have actually a really long list of topics that we can do, and they're actually in our brochure that's just updated all the topics that we can do.
Sorry, have you guys gone and talked with OCASA ever since this stuff with Eisninger? I know that you can't go into details about anything in particular, but
We would love to work with them. Yeah, we're always trying to reach out and do more stuff with all of the schools.
yeah.
So a big thing that I can say, when I first got hired is when things are coming to light in our community, especially, and something that I love that Beyond Survival did is how I heard about them is their community awareness nights that not a lot of people show up to. So this is one, yay! But I'm part of the team now. I've been here for almost 2 years. Right now, our other 2 co-workers are up in Tahola for a community awareness night with the tribe. We try to go wherever people will let us in, whether they're resource fairs or just even schools. And we've been to schools just sharing information. If parents have questions, if staff has questions, anywhere they will let us in, we'll go. Pretty much just send the invite and we'll show up, whether it's 1 or 2 or the whole team.
Yeah.
So that's pretty big in how we get in.
When I was doing prevention, that's all I did. I wasn't even at the office all day long. So the political environment's kind of changed quite a bit. And so it's been a lot harder to get into the schools. That's all I can say.
No, I know that it's sensitive, a lot of things
Yeah,
you can't
yeah,
say. might
yeah.
include-
Having said that, we have curriculum, so if any parent or teacher wants our curriculum, we are not like, we are not holding on to this just for us. Like, we will share all of our resources, anything they need, like, yes, we'll get it to you, because we want everybody to have it. So that's how we roll. We want everybody to have this knowledge, because I'd rather garden instead of doing this for the rest of my life, but.
Are you guys, are you part of the East County Youth Collaborative at all, or have you heard of the Youth Collaborative?
Yeah,
We were
for a while,
Oh, for a while, okay.
yeah. There's a lot of work groups and task forces that we're a part of, or that we were a part of, and then communication falls, or things get disbanded, people drop, and people transfer to different departments.
Right.
It's kind of a hassle keeping up with everyone everywhere.
Yes.
But yeah, we try to keep up to date with everything in our area, and sometimes we find out pretty late.
Yeah. The East County Youth Collaborative they're working on a website right now, and they're pulling all resources from the community. So if there's anything like you guys would want specifically that we could share and put it on that website, even if it's just like for a list of registered SANE nurses, or how to get an exam, or who to talk to, whatever, like in your website, that's something that they'll be able to use. So that's just another outlet to kind of keep it in the back of your minds that we can definitely work together to push out the resources that way.
Yeah, we try to go attend, all of us have a handful of meetings that we attend regularly. So that's one of them, I think we used to do that. We used to have someone else on board, I think that's who used to go to those meetings.
Yep, then I picked it up, and then summer came, and then things kind of fell, and then everybody shifted again, and yeah.
Lots of turnover in our line of work, but then also amongst all the other social services and law enforcement and all the prosecution and everything. So we're always trying to educate people and figure out who's in charge here or whatnot, but always battle. Hey, what else do we got?
I think it's our references.
That's
Yeah.
it.
It's our references from the stuff that we pulled today, just like a quick little thing, and then we'll go to our last slide, which is just our information of contact. We have our email and our phone number. We don't have direct extensions, but we just have an office phone, and then if we need someone specific, we're just like, hey, someone's on line 1 or line 2. So you just ask for Andrew specifically, me, any of our other advocates, or just ask a broad question if you want to schedule prevention somewhere. Just say, hey, who do I need to talk to for prevention? Or who do I need to talk to about getting in class specifically? I guess you didn't super talk about our classes, it wasn't on the slide, I just thought about that. We teach QPR, which is suicide prevention. We do Darkness to Light, which is primarily for youth serving organizations on how to identify, report, and prevent child sexual abuse.
Yeah, it's kind of like how to set up your work environment so perpetration doesn't happen. Kind of like the buddy system, wherever you go, cameras, like all of those kind of things.
Trafficking.
Training.
It's a big one. Sarah is working with Northwest Justice Project and getting a collaborative effort on specific training for law enforcement, hospitality, medical professionals on identifying, reporting first responders, people who go into homes. So like the cable man, or people who are just doing maintenance on homes and stuff. That's a huge thing on like, hey, I saw this, I don't know what to do. So
Because
Sarah,
trafficking does happen in Grays Harbor County, although a lot of people say it doesn't, but it does quite often. Most of the time it's familial trafficking, so that's usually parents selling their kids for things like rent or food. And so that happens, and a lot of times the people that are gonna notice it first, if they have the education around what trafficking looks like, the pizza man, right? Coming to your door, right? Like, if he knows what the signs are to look for, right? Then it less of a chance of happening, or get reported to law enforcement. Building safe foundations is another class that we have, and it goes through a bunch of different topics. And it sets parents and caregivers up on how to have these difficult conversations with their kids.
It
What are
highlights like pornography, grooming, sextortion's a big one. Specifically, stuff that I brought back was the digital side of things, like child pornography, which is CSAM, child sexual assault material, and how that affects kids. You know, take their nudes and they send it to their partner or something, because that's distributing CSAM like Andrea said. And people don't know that. The youth don't know that. Parents don't know that. So we highlight that, what to do about it, how to report it, how to get it taken down. It's a huge thing that not a lot of people know how to do. So we highlight that in presentation, talk about trafficking, talk about bystander intervention, a lot of standard things of like consent and boundaries.
And resiliency, building resiliency in your kids, ACEs and resiliency both. So, yeah. I think that's it. Yeah. We do lots of things, but
That's awesome.
yeah. You guys have any other questions at all?
Can we have these, all these blue things?
Yes.
Thank
Yeah.
you. Thank you
Yes,
so much for your
definitely.
time.
Yeah, thank you for the questions.